Today we will talk about how God provided powerful evidence that He wanted the best for His children. But they rejected the gentle flowing way He first presented it to them, so He had to speak to them with a roar and a flood instead. Hi, Dovann here, and welcome to another episode of Week at a Glance, where we dive into a thoughtful summary of this week's Bible study guide. Welcome to another episode of our series in the book of Isaiah. Today we'll talk about the hard way. Now, here are the important points to remember for today's episode. Our first point is enemy at the gates. Last week we went through Isaiah chapter 7, and I believe that you were also dismayed by the decision of King Ahaz. He thought he made the right decision by rejecting God's offer and asking for help from Assyria. Although at first glance it seemed like a good choice because Assyria crushed Israel and also Syria, but it was actually a very bad deal because Assyria later became a major source of distress for Judah. God had already given King Ahaz a preview of what will come to pass. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you dread will be forsaken by both her kings. I could very well imagine how King Ahaz smirked when he heard this, thinking that everything played out just the way he planned it. But Prophet Isaiah wasn't done yet. The next line dropped like an A-bomb to the king's ears. The Lord will bring the king of Assyria upon you and your people and your father's house, days that have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah. He thought of eliminating his enemies by befriending and depending on Assyria, but what he didn't know was that Assyria was the enemy at the gates. However, what really brought the downfall of Judah wasn't the enemy outside the gates, but what happened within. Now let's talk about it. Our second point is gloom within the gates. God was able to drive out the inhabitants of Canaan so that His chosen people could occupy the promised land. God was also able to defend His people from their enemies. He struck the army of Syria with blindness, remember? But why does it seem like God had withdrawn His protection? Let's take a closer look. King Ahaz was deeply involved in idolatry. He was not just an occasional worshiper, but he was a devotee. And he sacrificed and burned incense in the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. He even offered child sacrifices. 2 Kings chapter 16 tells us he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. Indeed, he made his son pass through the fire. And if that is not explicit enough, let's see how 2 Chronicles chapter 28 expresses it. He burned incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom and burned his children in the fire, according to the abominations of the nations, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. And 600 years ago, Moses used very strong words to describe such a practice. They sacrificed to demons. What again? They sacrificed to demons. Yes, you heard me right. Not to God. Another practice that King Ahaz and the people of Judah were guilty of was occultism. They were into spiritualism. Isaiah criticizes the sources upon which King Ahaz and many in Judah were relying for counsel and guidance. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their God? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? Almost 300 years earlier, King Saul, the very first king of Israel, did the same mistake. He consulted a medium to ask guidance and counsel from the demons. And just like three evil kings, let me say that again, just like three evil kings before him, Jehoram, Joash, and his grandfather Uzziah, they did not bring him into the tombs of the kings of Israel. Now put yourself in the shoes of Isaiah and other faithful Jews. Enemies are at the gates, and within the gates there is a pandemic of idolatry. What is left to do? Now this is getting more interesting. Now let's move on to the next point. Our third and final point is hope beyond the gates. The reign of King Ahaz was renowned for his spiritual and moral decline. The temple of God was abandoned. King Ahaz shut up the doors of the house of God and made for himself altars in every corner of Jerusalem. But even when the temple services were discontinued, those who feared God found in him a refuge from danger. Isaiah says, "He will be a sanctuary, a place of safety." Isaiah was directing the king and the people not to rely on the military might of the neighboring supernations, but to trust in God. And Isaiah was on the mark when he said, "Here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts." As indicated by their names, Isaiah and his sons were ordained of God to be living signs to the people of Judah. Through them, God proclaimed a vital message to his people. The name Isaiah means Jehovah will save. In relation to the immediate circumstances, this meant salvation from Israel, from Syria, and from Assyria. The name of Isaiah's first son, Shear-Yashub, means a remnant shall return, and that child, by its very name, signified to the people that a remnant would be saved. The name of Isaiah's second son, this is quite difficult, so bear with me if I don't say this correctly. Maher Shalal Hashbaz means speed the spoil and hasten the prey. This son was a constant reminder that judgment was fast approaching. God had tried many times in so many different ways to call Israel and Judah to be faithful to their covenant and to trust him. Now it was Judah's time. But because Judah had refused God's message of assurance, represented by the gentle flowing waters of the Shiloah stream in Jerusalem, it would be overwhelmed by the mighty power of Assyria, represented by flooding from the great Euphrates River. Judah's hope of survival was not in the hands of the king of Assyria, who pretended to be a friend, nor was it in the idols that they imported from other nations, but their only hope was to trust in God. Their hope was not at the gates, nor was it within the gates of Jerusalem, but their hope was beyond the gates. Their only hope was God, the only one who knows what's best for them. Now, in summary, here are the different points that we talked about in today's episode. Point number 1, enemy at the gates. Point number 2, gloom within the gates. And point number 3, hope beyond the gates. If you find this episode helpful, then share it with your friends. Spread the word and change lives one message at a time. And if you want to watch more summaries like this, then click on this video. This is again Dovann for Week at a Glance. I'll see you again next week.